Hello everyone, I am Mr. B, the math analyst. And of course, that's not my real name. However, it represents where I am now and where I want to be in the next couple of years. But that is something that I'm going to tell you in the following videos. For now, what you need to know is that I have been a math teacher for the last 13 years, and from those, 6 have been teaching in IB schools. And that is something that is going to represent my videos. You're going to find explanations that are sprinkled with the IB focus. But I think that it's enough with this introduction. Let's go with the first lesson that you are going to receive about arithmetic sequences. I hope you're going to enjoy it. Let's go. Okay, let's start with our first lesson about arithmetic sequence. But before to start with the lesson, remember to click on the button, the one that says subscribe, so I can continue making these videos. And something else that I want you to know is that all the material that I'm sharing with you, the PowerPoint, the slides, and also a practice that is a PDF that you're going to find them in the links that are below. So feel free to download, to practice, and to bring whatever question you have about the different materials that I'm sharing with you. Okay, so let's start. First of all, let's talk about what a sequence is. According to, I'm going to be reading basically these slides, which is conceptual, and then we're going to be solving problems. Okay, so a sequence is an ordered set of real numbers. There are 2 types of sequences: arithmetic and geometric. Today we're going to just see the arithmetic. Okay, and each number in a sequence is called a term. Something that I want to tell you is that actually an arithmetic sequence is a mathematical or a linear model. So in other words, when you see a problem that is about arithmetic sequences, it's a problem that also could be solved as a linear equation. The one that you write like y equals mx plus b is exactly the same thing. So you can either solve it as an arithmetic sequence or as a linear model if it's easier for you. Okay? So about arithmetic sequence. So arithmetic sequence is a sequence which is formed by adding a constant number to the preceding term. As you can see here, for example, in the slides that you are seeing at this point, there are 3 different sequences. 7, let's see the first one, 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. As you can see, all of them have a common number that is between each of the terms. In that first sequence, that common number is 7. Okay, so as you can see, basically what we are doing is adding to each term 7 to get the next term. In the second one, the one that says 2, 11, 20, 29, it is obvious that what the number we are adding is 9. In the third one, we are not adding a number, or actually we can say that we are adding it. We are adding a negative number. Okay, so it is decreasing: 48, 39, 30, 21. And as you can see, basically what we are doing is that we are subtracting by 9. Okay, so all of those are examples of arithmetic sequences. Why? Because they are formed by adding that constant number. And the name of that constant number is the common difference. Okay, so now let's see the first formula that we are going to use for answering actually all the problems that we're going to see, okay, in this lesson. That formula is the one that you see there in the slides. Un equals u1 plus then n minus 1 times t. Okay, and that formula is very important because it's basically like the DNA of the sequence. So in other words, in that formula, we can get all the numbers that belong to that specific sequence. Okay, there are some questions that they are going to ask you in the assessments. They are going to ask you, for example, find the nth term. What they are asking you is to use this formula and substitute the different values and give the answer as in n terms. Okay, we're gonna see that just in a moment. No worries if you're not understanding at this point. I'm just telling you that we're gonna be using this formula for all the problems that we're gonna solve right now. Okay, so let's see first of all what are the different meanings of each of those variables that we have there. Okay, so the n is the location of each of the terms. So n is the position, first, second, third, fourth position, okay? Until the last one, the nth term, okay? The d is the common difference, which is what we explained before, the number that we are adding to get the next term, okay? Then we have u1, which is the first term, and un, which is the term we are looking for, okay? Or the term of that position that we are looking for, okay? Something else is that if we want to find the difference and there are two terms that are given, two consecutive terms. Remember that consecutive means one and then the next one, the next that is after it, okay? So that is consecutive. So let's see the first example, because I think that receiving all these formulas sometimes is confusing, but no worries, we're gonna be using it, okay? So let's go to the first example. The first example says, find the nth term, okay? And remember that the nth term is just writing the formula in terms of n, okay? And they are giving us there the sequence of the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms, okay? So from that, basically, where we start, when we're solving a problem like this, the first question is, where do we start? And always the advice that I give to my students is start with what you know. And what we know the formula, the general formula, okay? So, and I know that I need to use this formula, not just because it's the only formula that we have seen, but also because it is asking me for a specific term, okay? So, and we know that it is an arithmetic sequence, okay? So there is the formula, I just wrote it, okay? And now I'm gonna identify the different elements that I need. The formula is asking me for the first term. And as you can see, it's obvious that the first term is 11, okay? So I know that the first term is 11. Now I need to find a common difference, however, it's not given, okay? But I know that I can find a common difference if I subtract two consecutive terms, the second and the first term. In this case, as you can see in the list, the second term is 20 and the first term is 11. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna subtract 20 minus 11, okay? And that is 9. So as you can see, I already found the common difference, okay? And that is basically everything that I need to answer the first question. The first question is find the nth term, okay? So I'm gonna take the formula that is above, okay? And I'm gonna substitute the values that I already have. The first term is 11, okay? N, I'm gonna keep it like n. Why? Because when they are asking me for the nth term, that means that that is the variable that is gonna keep in the formula. I'm gonna continue solving it. Now I need to replace the common difference, okay? And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna simplify this, okay? Remember that this 9 is going to be multiplying each of the elements from the parentheses. So 9 times n is 9n. And then 9 times -1 is -9. Okay? So now I'm going to simplify. I'm going to combine like terms. So I can combine the 11 with the -9. That is going to be 2. Okay? plus 9n. And as I told you, this is the nth term. So basically, it's an expression that is written in terms of n. Okay, and what this expression is waiting is that I give the value or the position that I am interested in or the one that I'm looking for. Okay, I can keep it like that. Normally, what I do is that I just write the n or the variable in front. Okay, and this is the first answer. Okay, so question A, remember that the question is find the nth term, okay? And as you can see, is this general expression. Now I'm going to solve the second question. The second question is find the 50th term. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use actually the answer that I got from this question A, and I'm going to replace the value of n by 50, okay? So I'm just going to take the formula that is above, and as I said, I'm going to replace n by 50. Okay, so this is going to be 450, okay, plus 2, and that is going to be 452. And this is the answer of the second problem, okay, 452. Something that I forgot to tell you is that normally what you're going to see in my videos is that I'm going to first solve a problem by myself, then I'm going to share a second problem and we're going to solve it together. And the last problem is a problem that you are going to solve, and then you're going to check if your solution coincides with mine. Okay, so that is basically the logic of these videos. So let's go to the second example. Okay, so the second example is going to ask us about the position of a number. So in other words, it's going to ask us if a term belongs to a sequence or not. Okay, and what you need to know, and it's written in the slides, is that a term belongs to a sequence if its n, or if its position, is an integer. So in other words, what we're going to do is we're going to take the number that they are going to give us to test it, and we're going to replace it in the equation, and we're going to find the value of n. If the value of n that we get is a fraction, then that term doesn't belong to the sequence. Or if the value of n is a decimal, that value or that number does not belong to the sequence. Okay? The number just belongs to the sequence when the n of it is an integer. Okay? So let's see an example about that. Let's see example number 2. As you can see, it says the first term of an arithmetic sequence is 5, and its common difference is 2/3. So I already wrote those values, and the first question says, write down an expression for the nth term. We already did that. So basically, it's taking the general formula, un equals u1 plus n minus 1 times t. We're going to replace what we know. We know u1, which is 5, and the difference, which is 2/3. Okay? So we're going to simplify the expression. Okay? So remember that this 2/3 is multiplying each of the elements inside of the parentheses. So n times 2/3 is 2n/3, or 2/3 n. And then minus 2/3. So I'm going to bring my calculator here. 5 minus 2/3, that is 4.33. Notice this. Okay, so here in the calculator, I got the answer in decimals. However, I want to have it as a fraction. If you don't know how to convert that, or you don't know how to do it mentally, there's something that you can use in the calculator. Here, there's a key that says math. Okay, and the first option says change the answer to a fraction. So I'm going to press enter. And as you can see, basically the calculator is telling me that it's going to convert the answer, which is in decimal, to a fraction. I'm going to press enter, and notice that it says 13/3. It's not that clear. It's a little bit blurry, but I think that we can see that is 13 thirds. Okay, so 2 thirds n plus 13 thirds. Okay, so I already found the general expression. Okay, now I'm going to answer the second question. The second question says, determine whether or not the number 49 thirds, we don't know the position of that number, determine if that number belongs to the sequence. Okay, so I'm going to write the number here. We know that un is 49 thirds. And there are two options. I can do it manually, but if you don't feel comfortable solving equations, I'm going to do it both ways, okay? I'm going to do it first manually, and then I'm going to use the calculator so you can observe how to solve it. So manually, I just need to replace here un, I'm going to replace it by 49 thirds. And something that I told you is that what we're going to find is the value of n. If the value of n is a decimal, that means that the 49 thirds, that number, does not belong to the sequence, okay? So notice that in this case, the equation is actually very simple, because even though I have a fraction, the common denominator is 3. So if I simplify, or if I multiply everything by 3, all the denominators are going to be canceled, okay? So if I multiply everything by 3, let me move this because I think that this is confusing here, okay? So if I multiply the whole expression by 3, I'm going to cancel all the denominators, and I'm going to have 49 to n plus 13. And now I just need to solve the equation. 49 plus 13 and then to n. So let's subtract that. 49 minus 13, that is 36, okay? And then the 2 has to pass dividing, okay? So 36 over 2, that is going to be 18, okay? So notice that 49 thirds, according to our equation, is located in the 18th position. It is an integer. Therefore, what we can say is, since n of 49 thirds is 18, therefore it belongs to the sequence, okay? Now, let's suppose that you don't feel comfortable working with this type of equations and you want to find an easier way to do it. Okay, let's do something a little bit different. Let's work with the equation that is here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my graphic display calculator to help me. How? Okay, first let's press the key that says y equals, this one that you have here. Okay, and what we're going to do here is that we are going to input this equation, okay, this expression 2 thirds n plus 13 thirds in the graphic display calculator, okay? So 2x, remember that here we cannot use n, okay, in the calculator is programmed to use the x, so 2x over 3 plus 13 over 3. And now what I'm going to ask to the calculator is I'm going to ask to give me the table of all the values. So I'm going to press second table, okay? And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down up to 49 thirds, okay? It's in decimals. So let's do something. 49 thirds, that is 16.33, okay? So second table again. And I'm going to scroll down until I find 16.33. And as you can see, here I'm going to make a zoom in the video. Okay. So as you can see, the calculator is telling me, let me change a little bit the mode so I can get less decimals. Okay, second table. Okay, so look at this. It is telling me that the number 16.33, which is 49 thirds, is located in the position 18. Therefore, it belongs to the sequence, okay? So that is another way to solve the same problem, okay? Let's go to the third example. Oh, there's a question that is that needs to be answered here. It says, find the first term of this sequence that is greater than 25. Let's do something. Let's use the same tool that we have here with the calculator. Remember that with this tool, what we can do is actually we have all the numbers here in the y column. We have all the numbers. In the x column, what we have is the location of each of those numbers. And let's do something. They are asking us to find what is the first term of this sequence that is greater than 25. So let's do something. Let's scroll down until we have the first number greater than 25. And as you can see here in the list, when I scrolled down, the first number that is greater than 25 is located in the 32nd position. So what I need to do is I'm just going to say that. Okay, let me zoom out a little bit so you can see better. So question C, change the color here. Question C. Okay, so the first number located, no, sorry, the first number greater than 25. Greater than 25 is located in the 32nd position. Okay, we can, if you want to justify this, you basically what you have to say is y equals the equation 2/3 n plus 13/3, and then you can say that you use second table of the graphic display calculator. Okay, with this should be enough to justify your answer in your assessment. Okay, let's go to the next example, okay, which is going to be the last that we're going to be solving. It says, find a definition for the arithmetic sequence whose first term is 5 and the fifth term is 11. Okay, so notice something here. They are telling us, so example number 3, they are telling us that the first term of this sequence is 5, and they are telling us that the fifth term is 11. Okay, and it says find a definition for the arithmetic sequence. When they ask us for a definition, they are asking us for the general expression that represents the definition, okay, or the sequence. Okay, so we start with the formula that we already know. Okay, un equals u1 plus n minus 1 times t. And what we're, notice something, we cannot give the general expression y because we don't have the common difference. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace in the equation that we have the fifth value. I know that n for that value is 5, and the first term. And with that information, first I'm going to find the common difference. Then I'm going to take the same equation and I'm going to replace the first term and the common difference in the equation to give the general expression. That is basically what I'm going to do. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to replace the fifth term here. The first term is 5. N of this term is 5, so 5 minus 1, and then D is what I'm looking for. Okay, so now, okay, I notice that I just simplify the parentheses. 5 minus 1 is 4. Okay, and now I'm gonna pass this subtracting. The negative, the 5 is gonna pass subtracting, so there's going to be 6. Okay, and now the 4 is gonna pass dividing. Okay, so 6 divided by 4, that is 3/2. Okay, so notice that the common difference is 3/2. If you don't feel comfortable working with fractions, remember that that is 1.5. So you can either work with a fraction or with decimals. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this common difference that we found and the first term in order to answer the question. Okay, so remember the question is, what is the general expression? So un equals u1 plus n minus 1 times d. Okay, I know that u1 is 5, and I know that the common difference is 1.5. So now we only need to multiply. You already know this. Okay, so 1.5n minus 1.5, and now let's simplify like terms. Okay, 1.5n minus, no, sorry, plus 3.5, and this is the expression that represents this sequence. Okay, so guys, let's let's wrap up with this last example. Let's do something. Let's see if you got this, okay? If you got this explanation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read the problem. After I read the problem, you pause the explanation and you solve it. Then when you finish, you're gonna play it, okay? And I'm gonna be showing you the answer so you can compare if your answer is if it matches with mine, and then you are ready to go to the practice. Okay, so here you have the problem. Let's read it. Find the four terms of the arithmetic sequence between 3 and 7. Okay, that's the only information we have. So now pause the video, solve it, and then play it to see the answer. Okay, you already finished the problem, so let's solve it. Okay, it says find the four terms of the arithmetic sequence between 3 and 7. What I'm going to do, maybe you did it in a different way. It doesn't matter. I'm going to do it in the way that I thought. Okay, so what I know is this. I know that the first term is actually 3. Okay, then between 3 and 7, there are four terms in between. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the last term is 7. Okay? So that means that this is the second, this is the third, this is the fourth, this is the fifth, and this is the sixth term. So in other words, what they are asking us is to find these four terms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically do the same thing that we just did before. First term is 3, and the sixth term is 7. And I'm going to use the general formula, un equals u1 plus n minus 1 times d. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace what we know. We know that the sixth term is 7. The first term is 3. I know that the position we are working with is the sixth position, and of course we cannot answer this problem because we don't have the common difference. That is what we are going to be finding. Okay, so let's solve this in order to find the common difference. Okay, so this is 5d. Remember that here we have an equation, and what we're going to do, I'm going to be just zooming out so you can see better. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to solve this. The 3 passes subtracting, so 7 minus 3 is 4. Okay, and then this is the common difference is going to be 4/5, which is 0.8. Okay, so now we are able to answer this. Okay, so the second term, you can use the formula or you can just add the common difference to the previous term. So the previous term was the first one. So the common difference is going to be 0.8. That means that the second term is 3.8. The third term is going to be 3.8 plus 0.8. That is 4.6. Okay. The fourth term is 4.6 plus 0.8. That is going to be 5.4. And the last one, which is the fifth term, is going to be 5.4 plus 0.8. Notice that the only thing that I did is I found first the common difference, which is 4/5. I know that 4/5 is 0.8. And what I'm doing is I am adding that 0.8 to each of the previous terms in order to find the next one. Okay? So this is going to be 6.2. So we already found the four terms between the 3 and the 7. I'm going to write it here. So it's 3.8, 4.6, 5.4, and 6.2. Okay, so those are the four terms. Let me focus better. So those are the four terms between 3 and 7. Okay, and that was the last problem. So now it's your time to practice. What you're gonna find is that in the links below, okay, after you subscribe to my channel so I can continue making these videos, you're gonna find a link for a PDF that you can download, okay? That link, you're gonna find different problems. Some of those problems are actually from the next lessons also, okay? But you can solve some of the problems using this concept that we learned today. We just basically learned how to use the basic formula of finding a term in an arithmetic sequence, okay? You're also going to find the answers, so you can compare your answers with the right answers. Any questions, please write on the comments below. Okay? The next video is going to be about other type of problems that could be requested, or questions that we're going to be answering, and those questions are going to be with further knowledge of this concept. Okay, so that is what we're going to see in the next video, but I think that is enough for now. I hope that you have enjoyed, and again, any question, please feel free to give me a comment. See you in the next video. Bye.